right. Next up is one of my good friends, Eric, Deciphering My Experience. Eric J. Hecker, currently residing in Alaska. Eric is a self-educated research investigator that takes from many odd life experiences and connect with others. Eric was raised on Long Island, the home of now famous Montauk Project. His childhood included being part of the Stargate Project, run by the CIA and DIA. Later on, he had an experience in the submarine service. Following that, he became a plumber for some of the wealthiest people in the world back on Long Island. In 2010, Eric took a contract work at the South Pole Station for a year. Always an avid researcher, it was not until Eric began working remotely throughout the state of Alaska that he started making connections that his own life may not have been what he thought it was. Without further ado, let's bring in Eric J. Hecker. Eric, brother, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Rob. How you doing today?
Absolutely amazing, bro. Long time no see.
Yeah, it's
but
been
I'm
quite
excited
some
that you're
time.
here. It has,
I'm
dude.
very happy. I think last time I was on, I don't think I even got to chat with you last time I was on with you guys.
I think
it
I was
with
out
Greg.
that day. Yes, I was out that day because there was always stuff going on when we do these little events and all back end stuff to do.
I feel for you guys. I can't believe how much goes into these events just from like what I know, and I just talk to one person. So when you guys are doing, we have to dial this on, and this is, exponential beyond exponential labor. So thank you for everything you're doing for the movement,
bro. Thank you.
Totally
bro.
understood.
Thank you. What you're doing, bro. Your website is amazing.
Thank you so much.
Classified documents to videos. I mean, you've archived everything. Not only that, you have a lot of cool stuff on there, like CBD stuff. I mean, it's everything. You could find it's a one-stop shop over there, bro. So, I'm gonna alleviate myself from the screen. I'm gonna be here. So when you need me to jump in, call me up, brother. I'm right here.
Oh well, no worries. Don't go far, because like I mentioned to you, I got short legs today. It's been a very long week for me. I had a new gig, so I'll do the best that I can. It's going to be hopefully a dialogue, Rob.
Let's do it. All right. You want me to stay on the screen with you?
Yeah, you might as well. Let's just hammer this out, because there's some topics that I want to throw out there. But a lot of the stuff that I do, it really has a need for me to understand the feedback from the people that I'm putting this information out to, because that's one of the things that I'm really learning is challenging, as I'm sure that you're learning as well. It's one thing to present this information, it's another thing to have this information absorbed, right?
Absolutely. You could say it all day long, but there's certain thresholds at which people retain that information. So
right.
I absolutely understand this. So go ahead, man. I'm here.
Cool.
Let's
so this is like, I want to try to get this all dialed in, hopefully in some sort of exchange, because I need to learn more. I need to learn how to get my information out better. And I think this is the perfect dynamic, because you are also presenting. Well, so as an example, I was recently on a television series called The Alaska Triangle. I was in season 2, episode 9. So these are facts of the matter.
Congrats, bro.
Thank you very much. But this is bittersweet victory, so to say.
Okay.
Because it turns out I learned firsthand through my experiences that I decipher that they wholly edited out the truth.
Oh, they probably butchered it to no end.
To the point of deception. So the whole pretense of the show was that I was asked by the producers to go out to an area of Alaska called Ketchikan, Alaska, and that they wanted me to, because of my experiences in the submarine service and other things in my past, they wanted to know if I would be able to help them find what were reports of unidentified submerged objects and or secret submerged facilities. I told them, absolutely, I'm all in on that. I'm game. Let's do it. So
sounds amazing.
Yeah, I was like, this is a chance of a lifetime.
Team paying for the whole entire endeavor, so it's go time.
Absolutely. Yep. How could I turn this down, right? So I jump on this, and I go out there. We film everything. It's fantastic. We get out on a boat. I'm there with the camera crew, the captain of the boat. We have the hydrophone to go into the water. And, some spots here I don't hear anything. Some spots here I don't hear anything. But bam, next thing you know, we get a solid hit for which I'm reporting everything that I know. I'm like, boom, we're on something. We're recording the sound. I got the captain of the boat with the headphones. He's listening to what's going on. I got the camera. I'm making sure that everything's getting caught and going on camera. Not one bit of that went to air.
Tell the people what the hydrophone is.
The hydrophone is an acoustic device that is connected to the recording device that we had, and we dropped it down into the water. We killed all the electronics, everything on the boat. We could tell the difference from when it was on or off. I mean, this was the whole point of the show, was to go out there, and they wanted me to find stuff. And
It's
it
like
turns
a
out
sonar almost. It's sort
absolutely.
of like a sonar.
It is a sonar, correct. It's a passive listening device for underwater. It's just like a microphone in the air, but for underwater. That simple. And we found stuff when we were out there. The producers of the show then edited out all of the information of me finding anything. They exclusively presented the audio from the points where I said I'm not getting anything.
So it made it look like you went out there and literally did not accomplish what you accomplished, and you actually got zero evidence as opposed to actual
They gave me zero credit for finding the sound. What they did do is take the sound that I claimed didn't have anything in it anyway. They took that sound, brought it to an audio engineer professional to have it investigated, and then when he started washing it out, they made up a show around what he did.
Wow. So explain what you heard and how it's significant.
You got it. It's significant because it's a sound that everybody's actually heard before. It's going to be familiar, which is very interesting. So when you're getting into underwater acoustics and things like that, I mean, there's all kinds of natural, organic sounds and things, but the distinction for things that you're looking for underwater is stuff that's unnatural. Certainly anything that is repetitive, mechanical, or extremely frequent. And the sound that I heard, clean as day, got a clear recording of it and had witnesses hear it. It just went like this.
That's indicative of some sort of exhaust, probably.
Something mechanical.
Propeller.
I would say rotating would be my first thought.
Yeah.
Some reciprocating something. Either way, it's too repetitive, it's too loud, it's too crystal clear, and it was too close to facilities that they already know are in proximity.
Wow. That's wild. That's wild. So what happens with this evidence now? Now that they're not putting this evidence on, do they let you keep some of this?
Well, define keep. Like, I don't have any of it. It was their production.
Right. So I'm saying they have it trademarked. It's all to them. You can't even get access to it now if you wanted to.
I don't even have access. Right. I was just in front of the camera. I didn't get to touch anything.
Wow. That's crazy. That is so crazy. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it seem like by only their design or only their extra work, they've come up with something that's so remarkable that it actually happened during a previous, it's like it's misinformation on a sense of not being genuine with the process. They're taking it an extra step to say, hey, look, we had to take it to this guy and clean it up, because if they didn't do that, they would show you that it's so close to being, I don't want to say being discovered, but it's so prominent in that area that anybody can find it.
I would say it's full-blown disinformation.
Right. Absolutely.
It's full-blown disinformation because they had the truth and then they twisted it away from everyone. They made it harder for everybody. They made everybody think that it was harder to find this stuff than it truly is.
Right. And that's what I'm getting at, because now the people like me and you who don't have a production budget will try and go out there and figure out how that evidence came to be, or at least try and replicate what you did to get that evidence. Now, if we think that we have to go to some other guy now to clean all of it up with expertise and pay all this money, we're a lot less likely to go out there and try that. So is that the reasoning why they're doing it, or are they doing it because they're nefarious? There are other nefarious reasons.
I can only put all of these things on the table and just see which way the cards fall, because when people are being dishonest, it's hard to know their motives. There's a lot of factions. There's a lot of factions throwing a lot of options on the table. All I know is that I know I had a truth, and I know they kept it from everyone else. And I mean, like, this is why you do what you do. This is why I do what I do. Is that this is my experience that I have to let people know. Like, this is the third time that a camera crew has followed me around, And it's the second time that it's gone to air, and it's the first time they really acted like they weren't going to edit the snots out of everything.
Was there ever a moment that you caught anything while collecting this evidence or with this camera crew that you saw that was kind of a miss or like a hit and miss? You know what I mean? Like anything else you saw that was
Visually.
kind of suspicious?
Yeah, actually, just as out of the ordinary, we were out in these islands off of Ketchikan, Alaska. So it's remote.
Right.
And everything was desolate from construction for the most part. There's, some teeny little shacks on the edge of the water here and there that people probably use for, subsistence hunting and stuff like that. But then out in the middle of all of this vast, nothing, gorgeous land and water was like this huge, like almost like Las Vegas looking casino just sitting on an island. And I said to the captain, I said, what the heck is that massive, like, hotel-looking thing over there? And he said it was a casino on native lands, that it's a really high-end, super fancy, luxurious, hardly anybody knows about a casino.
Oh, wow. That's that's going to be nice. I would check that place out, too, because I bet you there's something else there or some kind of cover that only specific planes are coming in here because private jets end up being here. But that's just speculation on my part.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
So now we know the landmarks, but with the actual crew itself, while speaking to them and interacting with them, did anything pop up to you as kind of funny or out of place? Maybe misconceptions while they were trying to film something? I mean, we see these people who come out here and do these shows, and a lot of the time their agenda is to put people off from the truth.
I would be completely honest. The gentleman that I was working with on scene seemed extremely legitimate and professional. They were gathering info, and I think did an excellent job of gathering all of it. I think the problem was when it got delivered to where it got delivered to is that the power of the edit is one of the things that society really needs to understand. So like this today, what I'm discussing is a perfect example. I found a truth and they whittled it down. The power of the edit made it not a story. And there's so much truth that's being put in front of people, but it gets whittled down to the point that it's not what the truth was in any way, shape, or form, and people are not seeing that nowadays. There's a real big lack of discernment going on.
Omar's asking from the back, didn't you also see something similar happen in Antarctica? Maybe with the submersibles or the underground bases?
Well, I have confirmations. I have confirmations through John Warner IV, from his father, John Warner III, who was previously the Secretary of the Navy. And he has confirmed that Operation Deep Freeze was also covering for secret submarine bases underneath the ice, and that those operations were specific towards space operations. So that's from former Secretary of the Navy, and yes, John Warner IV reached out to me so that we can make these connections, because there's a lot of truth to what's going on, to what I'm saying about what's going on in Antarctica. And this is what I was saying to you before, is I'm trying to figure out how to get people to absorb my information better, because I don't know what to do with the fact that I've done these things, I've seen these things. I'm, like you said on the website, I have truth, I have documents, and I'm trying to put it in front of people's faces, and hopefully not have to be in the disclosure movement forever. But I'm going to be in this because people need to know the truth. The more and more the shenanigans are going on this planet, it's really getting disgusting.
It's wild.
The amount of apathy that I'm seeing on people's faces is just enraging me to, like, it's fueling my fire to be like, you guys got to be kidding me. They
don't even want to see it now a lot of the time. And here's the thing is that this is another question I want to ask you about this specific situation. If this was to be proven in the way that you presented it or the way that you investigated it, what impact would that have either regionally, for the state, or globally? What do you think would come if this was told the right way?
Oh, I think it would leave every single person watching the show if it was told the right way. If they just simply presented the truth as the storyline played out. We sent Eric J. Hecker out here to locate a sound and see what we can find, anomalous events. Well, then what do they do when the question gets answered? Eric J. Hecker found a sound under the water right where everybody was predicting there was going to be sound, and we sent him out to find it. He found it. So then the question now falls on the feet of the viewers. What do they do with the fact that we can so easily go to any music store, pick up a Zoom recorder, take out the cartridge that it comes with, order the hydrophone attachment, and go dip it in the water and start listening?
Or GoPro and get a camera down there as well. It would require
but maybe I could only speak for the equipment that I had my hands on. That stuff apparently worked.
That's so wild, dude. I mean, that to me, that's huge. That's huge.
I think it's massive too, Rob. This is, they're withholding the information. So to me, it takes all of these shows and it puts them all in question. I mean, not for nothing, it's great entertainment, but we really truly need to understand that this is television programming. We're being programmed, and whoever's flipping the bill to produce it is giving you the story they want you to see, they want you to know. As history has shown us, I mean, there's a lot of people doing great talks on your shows and on your channels with great regularity about things from the past and what we're learning. And I think it really shows that humans are very programmable.
Oh my God, so much so.
And other people seem to be very organized with that tidbit of information, and they're working steadfastly at programming us all day long.
Every second of every day, to the point where even when you give people this information, they're receiving it in a certain way because of that programming. And here's the other part of this too, right? Now, if we were able to go down a path of investigation and prove that there is some sort of submersible base or submersible type of craft down there, that leads to exploration across the world under the ocean. And we know by the government, and this is going to kind of be a connect here, by when the government came out and said that they want to do the UAP, USO, all of that narrative, that was also the same type of smokescreen where they're going to tell you, well, we don't know what these things are, but if you go any further, we're probably going to arrest you because we're the ones doing the investigating, not anybody else.
Right.
And this is this grand deception of cover. And even them telling your story, but not in the right way, is a part of that applicable cover. And it really is disheartening that even people who would seem so genuine to put it out there can be manipulated into editing it a specific way that seems disingenuous.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally believe there's even a potential for some more compartmentalization of information to be involved. I don't disbelieve that on the production side, where the editing floor is, that those people could be separated from the truth in a way. They could be told a story so that they don't even know that they're editing out the truth. They could be looking for something else in the storyline for all they've been informed. So this is how higher-ups can manipulate, the rest of the herd.
Right. And I'm thinking to myself, how can we alleviate this by getting some sort of either that footage or that sound being played without having to go out and replicating it? Now, when you joined in on this television program, you, of course, had to sign either a NDA or a contract with them stating that you may not either acquire some of the evidence. Is there a way judicially that we can get that evidence to you, footage or sound?
It's a great question, but you're gonna get a kick out of this because you're gonna see how this works. Every time a television production company has ever attempted to work with me, the first thing that I've noticed is that they're a foreign entity. So that increases the legal obstacles, I'm sure you can understand, exponentially.
Of course.
So this production company was in England.
Okay.
So they have all the stuff there.
And to get that, you would not only have to get New York, you would have to get Alaska courts involved. You would have to get
Yeah,
the Royal
that
Crown
is
involved.
yeah,
It could get really
that's a
hairy.
bridge I cannot cross, Rob.
I know that. I know
Yeah,
it, but
yeah.
I'm trying to
Not at the way my PayPal and Patreon rolls.
No, me neither. Me neither. Listen, I wouldn't be able to do it in Alaska. Never mind all the way to England. I couldn't get the Alaskan side of it. But it is what I see. I hate hearing this type of information just to go, and now it's by the wayside. So the next step would be a replication, to get out there again and replicate, and then you could project your own show in a sense of look at this. Remember a long time ago when Ancient Aliens first came out, there was that gentleman who was on it says debunking ancient aliens. It was like a YouTube channel forever until the History Channel, they got their hooks into it and was like, no, you're going to either prove them right or you're not going to be on the air anymore. And this is where we get into this dichotomy of law and rights, right? But I would think that with the amount of following that you have, which is a good sized following, we could probably get something together where we could pedestal this and say, look, these people aren't right. They're not. They're lying.
I would love something like that to put them on the spotlight, so to say. I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of that, Rob. That's a great idea. That's something. I'm an old-fashioned plumber in my mind. I don't think of the power of the digital realm, but that could be something to pressure these people to release the sound.
Of course, and
release the actual audio.
Are they putting it on television, or are they putting it on a application where they're streaming to that application, as in that kind of television?
This already aired. It's already aired on television. November it aired, and now it's available. You can get it on any streaming platform.
Right.
So it's already out there.
Eric, what's the season and
it would be
I'll try to find it.
You got it. It's Alaska Triangle Season 2, Episode 9. It's also the only one they did no advertising for. I was following.
Which is wild. What?
Yeah, I was following, and they were advertising and doing marketing for every episode. Just like anybody would normally do for a production, right? Hey, tune in this week, tune in this Friday, tune in this. They were doing it for every other episode. They never touched mine with an ad.
Have you ever tried to reach out to some of the other experts on that show and see
oddly
how
enough,
they were handled?
The sound engineer that they used is apparently here in my town, and I would love to go have a chat with him.
Have you tried contacting him at all?
Not yet.
Not
yet, but I want to.
Yeah, because you know what? I mean, even with him or maybe somebody else that they pulled in, you may not be the first one that they've done this to with other types of evidence. And you can collate together and say, look, this is me, that's him. We've got it all together. What do you say now? Now say something, because now it's a court of public opinion. It's no longer a court of law.
But I totally understand what you're saying, Rob. The reality is I'm doing things like you're saying like that, and people are hating my guts in the disclosure circle for this.
Why?
Because I'm stepping on people's toes, because I'm challenging people, because I'm not just agreeing with everybody.
Well, that's also because there's probably a major name attached to whatever
exactly
show this is, and of course,
any of these shows.
Instead of going against the information and getting the information proper, you're going against him and his name and his brand, because it's no longer about the info. It's about the potential of the person and the monetary value of that person.
In a way, I'm actually going against that whole industry right now as well, because what I did also just outed that industry.
Oh, absolutely.
So are all these other shows not just as guilty?
Of course. It's just like when you go to watch the paranormal shows and they're like, oh, do you hear that? Do you feel that? Like, there's nothing there saying that those people are exactly seeing, feeling, or whatever they're doing is not substantiated by
my camera's moving. Is it a ghost?
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
And we see that more times than not, right? But to call them on it is to call their brand. And so you're probably in that same predicament.
I'm totally calling the brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm totally calling the brand on mass media disclosure at the moment because of my experience.
We have 36 people watching now. Let me ask everybody out there a question that's watching. And I want an honest answer. Would you prefer a show that tailors the evidence to make it look more exciting, or would you prefer the proper evidence be put forward and then you could have a confidence in that show? for what they do and what they represent? That is an honest to God question, because some people like the entertainment. They love it. But some people, well, I would rather sit there through a boring show and watch the actual truth come out, the evidential truth, and then be like, wow, that was kind of satisfying because we got there, the proper evidence. See, proper evidence, truth.
Rob, you can handle that stuff because you grew up with Geraldo Rivera in the opening of Al Capone's vault.
Yeah, literally. And we've seen him in the diner down the road. Like, that's how close he is to me. And that man is all deception. All deception. You know what I mean? There's nothing true about Geraldo Rivera. But, and even when he gets on TV now on Fox, they're like, he's just so far in his own world. It's disgusting. But, you know, but this is what we face in the truth community.
Yes.
We're taken off platforms. We're censored. They take our information and they twist it and turn it so there's no longer our information anymore. It becomes something else, and that's intentional. There was a program behind that. There was an agenda behind that, because we can't be the arbiters of truth. Rob Yox and Eric Hecker cannot be the arbiters of truth. If we are the arbiters of truth, then the experts have no legs to stand on. I'm not formally educated like some of those experts, but I bet you if we go into certain subjects, I could talk circles around them, because they've gotten to this point in mainstream sort of science that's lazy, or mainstream history that's lazy. They don't want to see all the sides and rewrite history or rewrite the science book. They want to maintain their cover by what they've been working for 60 years. Personally, if I was working in history and we found some new archaeological evidence that changed the entire paradigm of history as we knew it, I would relish in that fact, and I would make sure that I wrote about it, even if it wasn't from my point of view or it was me who collected that evidence, if it's substantiated. You get what I mean?
I totally do. That makes me wonder how many times the withholding powers that be have come across information that would be, you know, global paradigm shattering, and they're like, oh, let's just tuck it away. That would undermine our control. Just tuck that away.
Of course. And this is also part of our agenda on this side of the aisle of exposing and putting the light on all of this deception. Because once the first barriers of deception get brought down, and we talked about this a little bit last night with old Darmagod, and once we eliminate the first wave of barriers, we can start tackling those other barriers that come into the history and the science, and really set right the indulgence of actual and factual truths and evidential based conversations, so we can expand our understanding of those situations.
I totally agree. And it's one of my other gripes as of late, is that I feel like I'm trying really hard to throw my hat into the ring with real experiences, real proof, and things that could be substantiated. And I am religiously behind the scenes. I haven't been producing a lot of content lately, because I've been attempting to collaborate with all of the big names in disclosure that are talking about Antarctica and South Pole Station. And you know what I'm finding out? I'm getting the door slammed in my face everywhere I go.
That's too much information. You're giving them too much.
I'm not giving them any information. They know my information. They don't want to talk to me.
Well, that's what I mean. You're putting out their information that's
I send an email to a big name researcher that talks about being huge into Antarctica. I get a conversation with said person, and then I get discounted for being a plumber, not a physicist.
Oh, see, this is where we get into that realm of.
So now, yeah, this is lunacy to me, because now this is to me, it's a gatekeeper.
Of course, and
it's
listen,
full-blown gatekeeper.
You don't have to be an expert to understand. Everybody's got to understand it. Just because you're not an expert in said field doesn't mean you can't research that field enough where you can either be classified as an expert or have a working knowledge of what is.
Yes, and not for nothing, in the grand scheme of the topics that we were discussing, I was open to any line of questioning, and I feel that I would have been able to stand fast with any question, with the right answer, but to just have somebody discount me right off the bat, without even posing a question, just to me spoke volumes.
And that shows you that those people are not in search of the truth. They're in search of that monetary truth.
Correct. I think there's a lot more gatekeeping going on through the mass media, like I learned through the power of the edit. I believe that we have a lot of folks that are in these researching circles that, much like industries of old, we are told, are hard to root out with the new technology because they're so entrenched. I think some of the researchers and disclosure folks from old are so entrenched that they either lost their ability to discern, or they've become in such proximity to the devil that now they're dancing with it.
Oh, that is the second, dancing with the devil, I think is actually what is the definition of what's going on. Because a lot of people, when they start in this sort of investigations and looking into conspiracy, and you get gung-ho, because after a little while you start to unravel things a little bit and you're like, I understand it. And that understanding kind of shoots your adrenaline up and you're like, yes, now I've got to prepare a presentation so I can talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to these 20-year guys and they're like, yeah, it's just another one. But it's never just another one. It's always somebody else is being affected by those other ones. Right. And the people who are really in it to win it and to figure it out are eventually. I don't want this to become of us. I would never dance with the devil, but I don't ever want to get complacent in my ability to research either. I want to be able to explore the entire topic. So hearing this is like it's like putting a bell in my head for 10 years down the line. Like, humble yourself, get yourself back to square one. Remember your roots. Make sure you do it diligently, properly, and vet everything. And this is just wild to hear.
And make sure that you listen to people that have truths. Don't get hardened to it. That's, I think, what's going on is that I think they've become somewhat self-manufactured know-it-alls.
Absolutely.
And now the digital media so easily supports those egos.
Totally agree. And then we also have. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. And we've also witnessed, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but James Rink recently got bamboozled by some folks. And I don't know if you're aware of that, but I'm
not. Tell us all.
Oh, okay, you got it. So James Rink is a really nice guy, and he's doing a lot of diligent, hard work in the program to, get disclosure out there. But with that being said, he got tricked. So some dudes showed up to the 5D event in Vegas when we were there, and they were shams. They were acting like they were SSP veterans just to show how easy it was to fake an experience and trick a researcher. They did it. Boom. There we go, folks. And again, there's COINTELPRO type stuff going on. And how do you, as the listener, really know? How do you know when someone presents a whistleblower to you that is true or not? Because so-and-so said, well, I vetted them. How do you know what do you know their vetting process? I've spoken to some people myself that, I almost went to air with, and they have zero vetting process. They don't know me from a hole in the wall. That happens. So it's nerve-wracking to me.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so the audience, I question, how do they know? And then it concerns me because I know my experience. I know I can document it. I know I'm putting the truth out there. So I wonder, I lay in bed at night and I go, how do I get people to understand that what I am saying is true and what somebody else is saying is a sensational story?
It's difficult. Because they have these plants in every facet of research. And they're there to dissuade you from going out and saying your story because
dissipators.
Yes, it makes you sound fantastical or speculatory, and it's not. It's not. It's something that has happened, and I think when it comes to that discernment of who these people are, it's a resonation thing, and I think sometimes we get caught up in the information and we stop listening to our feelings too. But at the same time, you can never really tell if somebody is a fake if they're good enough at faking what they know, right? It's very difficult. If somebody comes in with SSP, and I'm not an SSP person, so I wouldn't ask. I would ask you to vet them, or Penny, somebody that has a lot more area of expertise than I would. So I could never vet an SSP person. But if we start talking geopolitics and who knows what, now I got a leg to stand on. Now we can have a conversation, and I could say to you, well, I see where you're coming from, but so
totally understood. And this is why I'm coming guns blazing from the topic of South Pole Station. I spent a year there, and I know a lot about what's going on there, and I'm getting really frustrated at all the people that are discussing this topic with people that won't give their identity, not one inkling of evidence that they've actually been there, but they have a fantastical comic book-like story about UFOs and aliens. I'm not against any of the possibility of there being UFOs and aliens in Antarctica. I think it's highly likely. But I'm just intrigued as to how the masses amount of people believe a story that absolutely 100% can't be substantiated, and they won't listen to the information that I'm giving them, you know, which effectively tells them that there's an electronic weapons gun to their head. You know, they want to talk about the potential threat of aliens when I'm like, hey, listen, but there's a real directed energy weapon that's up and running since 2010.
And it's literally at your face. And if you turn around, you'll blow your face off.
It's pretty much telling the whole world they probably need to be putting something on their face digitally.
Right.
You know,
some kind of Faraday cage to make sure you don't get hit by it, in a sense.
Something, yeah. You know, well, I mean, whatever we need to figure out. But you know, it's like what is it? Alcohol Anonymous is first you have to admit there's a problem.
Exactly.
I'm trying to get the whole world to know that there's probably the world's largest directed energy weapon system sitting right at the South Pole Station. And every time I try to speak that topic, wherever I put that direction, I either get edited or I have some gatekeeper show up to try to change my story and make it align with theirs. And they go, oh, so what you're saying is this. No, I'm not trying to support your story. I'm trying to give you more information. I thought you were a researcher.
Right.
And then when my research doesn't support their predetermined story, all of a sudden I'm just a plumber.
So see, now you're starting to see an underlining pattern to what's happening. And what I want another question is, what actually ended up happening at 5D once these people tried to fraudulate what they knew? And I'm sure it had some sort of effect on the entire thing of because they must have come out and said something that was damning.
They produced a well-produced YouTube video explaining the whole intrusion and subterfuge and deception. They really went for the jugular on James.
That's wild. That's wild. And I'm sure he took a hit for it too, which really sucks.
I'm sure it probably broke his heart. I mean, the kid tries really hard, so it's like that's not what he wants to happen. You know, he's trying to do good things.
People will do that, and that's terrible. That they would want to come and do that and then make footage out of it. That's
right.
Really that's not really good people. I mean,
not for nothing, just from what I saw of the folks. I mean, as soon as they walked into the room, I was actually up at the dais. I had I think Tony Rodriguez was on my left, and I am not kidding you, Rob. As soon as these two characters came in and started setting up, just prior, Tony and I had been discussing, like, you know, that feds come to these things and probe and blah, blah, blah. As soon as these two guys came in and started setting up, I grabbed my notepad right there and I wrote right down on it. I said, camera guys are feds. And Tony looked over and he laughed and he was like, you're right. And it was those two guys. And it wasn't that they were feds, but I figured out that they weren't legit.
Right.
And they were actually they were from Canada, I think, and they just came there to be deceptive and lie and infiltrate and do their thing. And I actually think 100%. I think 100% they targeted James because they said how they had been, you know, looking into this and researching and, you know, getting educated on so that they could infiltrate, right? I think they just straight up went for James because James is a nice guy. Like he's the easy gate to walk through. He's not the gatekeeper. You know, he's not the guy that's like, hey, you, blah, 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 you know. If those guys came in my direction with baloney, I probably would have been more belligerent with them than James would have been, which is why they didn't bark up my tree.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, too, is now that these people have done this, they're not just doing it, they're not just doing it to James, they're doing it to the entire community. Because
Yes.
now anybody who comes out and says anything remotely close
Mhm.
to what those two gentlemen either said or reported on in their specific, or was basically shown in those movies,
Mhm.
are now completely discredited, which means that these people who have an ignominious truth, they're not able to get it out there. And that hurts the community as a whole.
Mhm.
Even for any kind of disclosure, any kind of further advancements in what we know is coming from people who are in the SSP, like med beds and different types of technologies that are that are being reported, that are in space being used, that's coming back here and actually furthering humanity.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
this is a tremendous problem.
I think in a way, I believe that there's a high probability that these folks represented a faction, that they're aware that James is extremely high in the circles as far as having a following. So he's a target. He's a target. His information's a target. So I think they were just trying to, make him look bad, make the whole, disclosure movement look bad, and do a lot of undermining. And that's what factions do as well. And what we witnessed in this activity was the power of the edit in real life.
Yes.
I mean, they could literally walk into a conversation, which is the SSP disclosure, and through deception, they just edited the whole circle, because now there's this doubt cast into the room.
It's a shadow. It's a shadow on all the information. And you're right. They just did a full self-edit in that room. So, and anybody who is particularly participating in that is now called into question, which, I really, that stings me. That hurts me, because I feel like there's a lot of us out here who can't be classified experts, but we know enough to hold a conversation and really get people to listen and understand. And if we're discrediting those people at every avenue, there's going to be none of us left. None of us left to do the work. And I think that that's truly what the agenda is
I think it's a lot of it.
Yep. You're going to subscribe to this basic narrative that we're going to give you. And if you fall outside of that, now you're done.
I think taking it a step further as to the nefarious evil ways of whoever these overseers are that we need to figure out soon, is that this has to do with the digi world and the separating us as human beings. I think the literal physical distance between us is breaking our ability to discern from each other. Through a digital environment, it's too easy to learn how to deceive each other. And it's this lack of integration as a society on a regular basis. We're losing the ability to trust and discern. And that void is being filled with deception. And this is blatant. This is so blatant.
Huge point. Huge point.
We need to interact as humans.
Of course, from a text message, you cannot discern a social cue.
Right.
You cannot discern body language. You cannot discern emotion, which gives you context for the entire conversation. And this is where people are getting taken advantage of.
How many people have ever taken a text out of context or gotten come on, is that like the most common thing? You get a text and you take it the wrong way?
All the time.
Or you write a text and someone takes it the wrong way.
Oh, yeah. There's no emotion. I can tell everybody there's no emotion behind a text message. It's just plain information. I want you to read it monotone, and I want you to understand it in monotone.
We're being broken down as a people in this method. There's people that know this, just like, there's people that know how to break an animal on a farm. Well, we're on an animal farm. This is 1984. This is a prison planet, and we are not the wardens. We are not in charge. Pay attention to what's going on in the last few years. People are not acting of their own free will and accord. They're acting by direction and fear.
It's exterior stimuli, and they literally control every thought and every reaction, counterpoint, point. They literally control the entire board, and that's why it's important for us to understand those programs, because when we do that, we're able to maneuver in and out of specific programs that they lay down, create our own program, but also use their programs to literally destabilize their entire narrative and their entire cohesion of programs throughout the day, just even on a daily basis.
Oh, yeah. I mean, God only knows, like, you know, just what we're talking about today when we're talking about misinformation, the power of the edit, the mass media. I mean, how many half-truths, mistruths, disinformation spots could you count if you actually just sat in front of a screen and that was your goal, was to count as many as you could?
I see Stone Hobbit in the back. She's like waving her hand up like, I know. Stone, I'm bringing you in for a second because I think you got
Oh,
something
feel
to
free.
say. Here we go. Stone, you're muted. Unmute and let us know what's up.
Hey, Eric. Yeah, no,
How you
I
doing
totally
today?
agree with you. Hey, honey. Good to see you again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, for me, where I've come from, I've worked so hard to tell the truth right through, and it doesn't matter to them. They know you telling the truth, and they work on that. They use that. You know, and then eventually they try to turn it around. They keep you in a stuck state.
Mm-hmm.
When you've had that happen to you so many times and you still stand in your truth, you've only got two ways. You stay in your truth and you keep fighting and you keep moving forward, or you bow down and you take it where they want you to take it. But, you know, we're going to get through this. We've got to push through this because this is what we've been here for. We're here as the truth tellers. And it hasn't been easy to get here. And, you know, I'm listening to you, and I know some of James Rink's stuff, and I know about some of these so-called people going down to the Antarctica and doing this and that and seeking the UFOs. You can't even tell if they've left home. You can't even tell, unless you've been there, you can't even tell if they've actually walked on the moon. You can't tell me how close these planets are, because I haven't been out there. You know, I might have through astral projection and everything else, but as in the 3D form, I can't get out there. So, and if somebody's going to tell me something, there has to be that resonance connection. You know when somebody's telling you shit. Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right.
Go ahead.
I agree with you 100%, and this is it's very critical to my perspective and my experience. It's 100% true. Thank you for the analogy. It's almost like, in a way, like you would know, either one of you, right? Like, you know the house that you grew up in as a kid, right? So you would know that's like your home. So if some other person starts talking to a researcher about the house that you grew up in, and everything they're saying is off, you would know.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's what I know about my home at the South Pole Station.
Yes.
I was there. It was my home. I hear a lot of other people talking about my home, and they're liars.
Yeah.
I understand no one else will know that. Right? I don't know your home, though, Rob. So if someone was lying about your home or your home, Stone Hobbit, I wouldn't know they were lying. I would just listen to their story about your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the more sensational it is, the greater it would sound.
Yeah. Now, you've got to go to the truth. You've got to find that truth point. You've got to ask the questions.
There's a directed energy weapon system at the South Pole Station, and the gatekeepers keep wanting to talk about aliens. That's it. That's all they want to talk about. That's it. It's all aliens, aliens, aliens. That's it.
There's so much more to it. You know,
there's a lot more to it.
Weaponry, you know, the heart frequencies. There's so much more to it. So, yeah.
Isn't it wild how the aliens is not the fantastical story anymore? The direct energy weapon is the fantastical weapon.
Yeah.
Is the fantastical story.
Let's jump right to the weapons of war that we have for dealing with spaceships. Let's just cut right through the chase. Aliens are real. We have weapon systems to fight them since the 1940s.
But that sounds crazy now. Come on. Like
that's where we're really at. Everybody's like, World War III is coming soon. No, we're in World War V right now.
Right. But the UFOs are like, they're probably there. But the direct energy weapon that we've made, that there is literal documentation of their creation.
Yes.
Is the fantastical part.
Yeah.
But the things that we've never truly examined, like in this century or this, you know, in the last 70 years that we know about mainstream or have real documentation on, like the schematics of, is not the fantastical one. The weight of it is just.
For 50 years, the Department of Defense was using directed energy weapons against aliens. Now the CIA has taken over this entire program, and they're using directed energy weapons on the people of the planet Earth. That's where we're at right now.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy how we can sit here and say that. And,
Yeah,
and
UFOs are old school now, Rob.
we did.
Blase.
UFOs, come on, bro. We got MK Ultra mind control coming through the TV. That sounds crazy. That sounds crazy.
Hold on, I have to put my mask on. Something just told me to.
Yeah. Wild stuff. No, I mean, but that's what they've done. They've turned this into ridiculous world. They've literally turned it into ridiculous world. Things that we know are now fantastical, and things that we speculate are the truth.
I'm concerned heavily that the gatekeepers of the topics of what used to be considered wildly paranormal stuff is now benign and normal, and those people are trying to keep the conversation down there. You know, as if people don't believe in Bigfoot now, as if people don't believe in aliens now, as if most of the people on the planet have seen a UFO. I mean, it's just everyone's just now discussing it.
Right.
You know?
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
So no, it's just it's perfect. It's just we're all waking up to the fact that we've all been deceived on such a massive level, but what we fail to do is honestly communicate it with other people. Stop being afraid to say, you know what? I got bamboozled. The last 2 years, I totally believed all the shenanigans that was shoveled on my plate. Just be honest. Just say I messed up.
It's okay. It's okay to do that and say, you know what? I'm going to start being better from here on out. I'm going to start
Absolutely. I'll admit, back in the day, I totally messed up. You know what? I 100% voted for Obama the first time. I straight up got suckered.
That's okay.
I did.
Okay. It's okay.
I looked at the two guys running, and I just said, which one of these two guys, because I understood the Democrat Republican, co-opting of our government. I knew there's only one of those two guys was going to make it. I knew it was that corrupt already. But I said, which one of these two guys might make it into the White House and turn around and kick the shins of the system that got him there? And it was either John McCain or Barack Obama. There's no way John McCain's going to turn around and kick the shins of the industry that got him there. That ain't happening. I just figured maybe this Barack Obama guy will.
Yeah, and this is another thing I tell people too is, I'm running out of conspiracies here. We've investigated them and they're all coming true. Like I'm running out of conspiracies here.
Yeah, there's no such thing as
some more, please.
There's no such thing as conspiracy theory. There's just a ton of conspiracies. There's just more and more factions at hand.
It's so crazy how the world is capitulating to this small group, and this small group has done so many different plays on reality that we know that there's extraterrestrial, interdimensional, ultradimensional. There's all that. We know it. It's there. And, that again, I find it so funny that they're like, listen, this technology that we built like 50 years ago, you're crazy. You're crazy.
They were saying back in the 1980s that folks like DARPA and everybody were, they were gaining 50 years advanced level of technology for every 1 year of the average citizen. And they said that's the way that it's been going since then. And I think people don't really spend enough time just considering what that really means.
That's true.
Look at how far we've grown technologically, so to say. We'll just say from the late 1800s until now. I mean, that's pretty much all the technology we have. We go from locomotives to everything we have right now. And that's just in 100 some odd years.
The Industrial Revolution.
Now they're saying in the 1980s that, folks like DARPA were advancing 50 years per year.
It's crazy. And then, just to go back to DARPA, then DARPA's got its hand in everything. What we just went through the last 2.5 years, was brought to DARPA. I'm not going to say what it is because we're on YouTube, but it was brought to DARPA first for funding. And DARPA was like, you want to do what? No, it comes back on us. You guys are out of control. And they went off and found somebody else to do it with. But
I never heard this story before, and this is the my heart's jumping out of my chest. If DARPA turns it down for being too evil.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. I have the paperwork. I have the DARPA documentation that says, "You say what now?" No, I think we're gonna pass on that one. Thanks.
Someone needs to make some sort of the wildest meme ever, where like the devil says something, and DARPA's like, "That's too evil."
Yeah,
like,
it's just like DARPA guys like this.
Yeah,
Nope,
that's
not gonna
I
do
can't
it.
believe DARPA said something was too sinister.
Imagine. And that's why I'm like, this is what we're really up against, guys. Like, this is what we're looking at right now. And these are the people that are in control, because this is an extreme case. This is extreme. When they say no, they literally have their hands in everything. Everything from slave labor to child stuff. They've got their hands in everything.
Absolutely.
That's how nasty these people are.
Yep, that's not for nothing. Just because, like, in a way, my brain goes to whatever. I mean, in a way, my brain goes to whatever good I can think of. We can make happen. We are creative people. I do believe in all of that, but I believe in the full reality of the universe. I also believe there's evil people that understand they understand their power as well, and they work very hard with their creative things, and they have plans. And the bad people seem to get organized faster than the good people on this planet. It's very unfortunate.
It truly is, because they catch them. Kathy, one of the creators of this event with us, asks, "What can we do to protect ourselves?"
Oh my God, we have to openly communicate with each other honestly about all the stuff that hurts us on the inside. We have to stop harboring those hard to communicate conversations within us to drive us insane. We need to let them out.
Yes. The hard conversations are the ones that shed light on inner perspective, and inner perspective alleviates the need to do harm and essentially take things to a different level where, you know, and in every aspect, there's a lot of different emotional attachments that come with opening up that box within yourself and being able to. And that's what this community has become, is that ability to have those conversations without fear of ostracization or, you know, or being told that you're not right. That's not true.
That might be one of the greatest benefits of this community, is that we're talking about oddball subjects. So I think it might empower people to pick up the practice, because I think that, you know, like folks like you and I, everybody basically, like the vast majority of our lives are benign and boring and similar. You know, you have bills to pay. I got bills to pay. You got a girlfriend. I got a girlfriend. Everybody's got things to figure out. You know, we all know the same stuff. But in reality, we all spend most of our lives talking about the things that we know about of each other. Yeah, and that doesn't really accomplish anything, you know. But there's the differences. That 20% of our lives, I think, is where the value added conversation comes from. You know, I want to hear about the things that makes Rob Yox. You know, not the things that makes you the same as everybody else. I want to hear the differences, and I want to hear this from everybody. And I believe that those are the oddities, right? The things that make you odd are the things that you may not necessarily put to everybody. And I get that, but I want to challenge folks that we need to grow from that. We need to get outside of our boundaries and our borders, because it's that information that we're holding in, that we're not connecting with other people's withheld information. It's holding our whole society back. Because we're not sharing this info.
Everybody, I put it like this: everybody has their dots. When we come together, your dots may fill a connection between two of my dots. And when all of those dots are connected, we have the complete and total picture. When we have the complete and total picture, no matter what we're talking about, we can make informed decisions, and we can also inform others upon why we're creating those boundaries or those decisions, and it all is affected.
Then I want to double down on my answer to that one before. What we need to do to fix this is we need to reconnect as human beings. That's as we can see, they are voraciously trying to disconnect us from each other. That's why. They're constantly trying to disconnect us, to divide us, to make us hate each other for whatever stupid reason is of the week. We don't hate each other. We hate them. We hate the overseers. We hate the politicians that are lying. We hate the deceivers. We hate the misinformationists. But other than that, we all love each other.
Well, it's true. You know what it is? It's together we're strong, divided we fall.
Exactly.
Plain and simple.
So that is it. Yep. United we stand, divided we fall, and people need to remember that. It's division is their weapon.
Absolutely.
And decision.
Absolutely. We've got about 3 minutes left, Eric. I want you to tell us all the places we can find you. And then I want to thank you for coming in because, dude, this has been awesome. This got me fired up. I love you. You know, I love you, brother. And I love having these conversations with you. We have to do it more often.
Awesome.
Because this is just, it's exceptional. We had a great run of from one subject to the other, but we captured a lot of good information in the middle of that too, because of what you bring to the table, bro. And I don't want you to stop, no matter if you're facing people that are not doing the right things by you. Keep doing what you're doing because it is making a difference.
Awesome, Rob. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate the time here and the energy that you guys give me, that you reach out to help me get information out. So thank you so much. And thank everybody else on your team for me too, please.
Absolutely.
But as you said, people can get a hold of me. The best place, please go to deciphering.tv. That's my actual home website platform. That is where you're going to get all of the real, uncensored truth as I can find it. I am also on YouTube as Deciphering My Experience, but obviously you're going to have to deal with these censors over there. I am on Facebook. I am on MeWe. And if you want to help me out with what I'm trying to do, because I am building a studio and trying to get the truth out there because I'm tired of the mass media. So Deciphering.tv is going to grow and be a behemoth in the truth in the future. So if you can hit me up on PayPal or Patreon or purchase some merch at the merch store at the website, or I also have a CBD product that I use, adore, and love. And if you're into health and harmony and balance in your life and you're into CBD products, you can purchase some, and it helps me out.
Excellent. And I'm telling you guys, and we've been putting the your website up in the chats of all the different, we're in so many different chat rooms right now and on so many different platforms, and we've been putting that up for everybody to check it out. I mean, I tell you, it's worth it when you go back and check out the archive and you also look at the videos. It makes so much sense, and it's going to lead you down a path of research on your own, because that's what we're trying to do, is spark that research. So again, Eric, always a pleasure, brother. It's an honor and a privilege to have you here. We love having you at these conferences. You always bring the wealth, bro, the wealth of knowledge. So you're always invited, and we'll talk to you really soon, brother.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Awesome. You're muted, Omar. You're muted. Unmute.
Right?
Yep.
Again.